Hello everyone, and welcome to the Franck Show. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Franck Show. Today's video will be about how to research stocks, at least for on my end, my process to research stocks. Okay, there's thousands of ways to do it, but I think it's a gimmick a lot of times, especially for new investors or people who buy stocks here and there, but are not as familiar in stock research per se. In my opinion, when people go and say, do your research, which is absolutely critical, very important to do your research, but in so many ways and so many times, a lot of people don't even know where to start. Go do your research, bloody Pratt. Where do I start? Am I doing it right? What do I research? So I think that's a good approach that we can discuss today. And perhaps, at least on my end, I can discuss what my approach is. And it's really in 3 simple steps that I take. I'm not always perfect. And there's so many times that I'm completely wrong on my decision to buy a particular stock. But I think that my process have helped me over time to realize, okay, this is a general overview that gives me a good indication if it's a great stock to buy and when to buy it. So the first part of my research strategy is all about fundamentals. Fundamentals is very, very important. It's a very important step in my research. So I got 3 layers within the fundamentals. So the first layer is the industry. I tend to focus on industries that I can see getting better within the next 5, 10, 15 years, or industries that are not going away at any point, really. Healthcare, to me, that's an industry that's probably not going away anywhere at any point. The next one could be the technology industry. There's many layers within technology. So if it's an industry that's dying, that's probably not a good indicator for me to invest in that company in the long run. Now, the second layer that I take a look at for the company is all about the chart performance. So if a company is showing growth in the last week, it might not be a great company to invest if you look at the last 6 months, year, or 5 years, and you're finding the company all the way at the bottom, but they had an amazing week. That doesn't mean it's a great company to invest. Same way they could have a bad week, but you're looking at the company overall for the last 6 months, a year, 5 years, and they've been growing. So if they've been growing the last 5 years, or the last year, the last 6 months, that's a good indicator for me to maybe go in on that stock. Again, like they say, buy the dip. So a lot of times if the stock is not performing that great, it might be a good opportunity to actually get in the stock. The next layer within fundamentals, I do take a look at proprietary aspect. So there's 2 concepts to that, to be fair. So let's take, for instance, a pharmaceutical company or a biotech company, and they have a drug that's either just got approved by the FDA, has been approved by the FDA, or is on the verge to be approved by the FDA. Now, patents is a whole different story, and I'll explain why. A lot of companies will tend to advertise themselves as the next big thing, the next Amazon, the next Google, because they may have, let's say, 100 patents, right? Patents to me doesn't faze me. Why? Because I analyze what the patent will be used for. The analogy I always use for myself, let's say I stand here and decides to take off running, hit my head on the wall, crack my skull open, lay flat on the floor. Chances are if I do file for a patent for that, I could get it. Now, besides fundamentals, I take a look at the charts. Charts to me, they help me understand, is it a company that's been growing, and also am I entering the company at a good or bad time? So first thing I take a look at the weekly chart. how has the company been performing? So typically if I see a big spike within the weekly chart, I start digging into the news to find out if did something happen, or FDA approved drug, if it's a biotech company or a pharmaceutical company, or did they get a big partnership, or did another company come and bought them out? Something significant may happen that created a spike within a week. The second part that I take a look at within that chart is the last 3 months or 6 months. 3 or 6 months. It doesn't really make too much difference for me. So 3 or 6 months, I take a look at how the company's been performing. If the company's been declining within the last 3 or 6 months, I take a look at the industry. Because if it's the industry that took a hit within the last 3 to 6 months, then in theory, that company will get affected as well. But if the industry been performing well, it's just that particular company, that may be a sign for me to start pulling the plug and probably not go in like that. Not always, but indication for me. Then I take a look at the last 5 years, last year to up to the last 5 years, to see if it's a company that has been growing, or is it a company that has been choppy. If it's a company that has been choppy or that has been up and down, typically it's not as attractive to me. That's just me personally, simply because I don't see the company, if within the last 5 years they've been either up and down a lot, very volatile, or they've been still not growing as much. So I don't see it as a company where I might be able to make significant money as far as high growth. But a lot of other people may prefer to have a stable company. To them, if they have large investment into that one company, they might look at their dividend yields, because they might want to just make money based on the dividends. So that might work for them. Again, that approach that I said, if they're stable or very up and down, it's not as attractive to me. The last step, I utilize 2 technical indicators, and I will put a link and the video to describe for each of them, both the MACD indicator and the RSI.